very interesting thing which we basically come across our lives. Now, if we send a wrong thought to someone, or maybe even if we say that we only thought about, we just gave a bad word in our mind. I never told it on the face, but that attaches a chord with that person. So that is where your attachment goes. Now the chords can be different types of chords. One is the normal chords, which would be like, as I said, just sending out some brief or whatever. So there are stronger chords. Now here, there are two types of chords. One is the positive chords, which is the unconditional love chords and love chords as such. So there we will not be, rather we don't cut those chords. So this is just as a disclaimer I would like to say initially. So what affects our lives are these other type of chords, which are these bitterness chords, maybe, bad thinking chords, bad vibe chords, the oaths, the vows. These are very, it's something like Bhishma Pitama, when he made a oath of celibacy, in the next lifetime he would have had a problem. So, maybe getting married if their parent wanted to get married. So something like those, these are oaths and vows which we take. And particularly, I have seen during the course of these things. So these chords are something which is, and even particularly if you look at the dying thought of a person, that carries a lot of weight. Other chords which also come up are the curses. Let's say there is a curse which has been put onto you, maybe you're as a person or as a family, maybe ancestral cursing. So all those chords are differently, rather I would say these are different chords. Now you will say such a lot of technicality is there. So chords are predominantly ones which are not working for your highest good. The negative chords which I speak about, they kind of pull you down. They put impediments in the progress. Now those impediments may not be, those stumble blocks, whatever happens may not be because maybe, why have them, some people will ask, but that is also your karma. So maybe that's also a karmic cycle which basically takes you through certain aspects. So this karma is something which you need to heal. Now it's something like a person, if he or she is, let's say, in 9th or 10th, they fail and they remain in the same standard. So likewise in a karma, if you're not able to learn the lesson, you remain there in that place, and that incident keeps repeating itself. So even if you run away, let's say you run away from a situation, you run away from a job, right? Maybe the boss is very tough, so he's giving you maybe, he's taking you for a lot of, he's coming hard on you and all that kind of stuff. So you will leave the job. But if that lesson is not learned, the next boss also will have this similar traits. So just running away from a situation may elongate the karma, but it will not take away the karma as such. So the chords are predominantly these. And the ones which are coming from our past lives, this is the oaths and vows and various other things. These are the ones which we need to cut our chords with, so that life will become easier for you. Now, I'll share with you maybe one instance which will crystal clear, make it aware. My favorite, of course, is so children are my favorite. So so I would talk about one particular case in which a girl came to me about 5 years back, and so basically this girl was already into marriage for around 4 years, and she came to me and we did a reading for her. Medically, she was fit, no problem. Husband was also fit, no problem. So we did a reading for her, and I saw that in a past life, she had some children, some 4 children she had in a particular place. So there, because of some floods, she got they were involved in that calamity. And unfortunately, in that lifetime, the children were swept away by the floods. She could not save them. So she died a desolate death. In fact, she also had a lot of issues getting married, because even she lost her husband in that lifetime. So maybe some karma she was able to clear. But end of it all, what happened is that when I saw that she had a dying thought, saying that I am alone. It's better I should not have had children. I'm all the more very desolate and very, this fear, this kind of agony I cannot express. So it would have been better if I wouldn't have had children. So that was her dying thought. So that stuck on to her. And so as we did the reading and as we started the healing process, she could already feel some difference. I remember exactly 25 days after the reading, when we cleared this, everything was done as a process. She went through the whole process of listening to the following up there is some 14-minute audio which I give, which helps you clear from your mind also. 25th day, she was blessed with a child. Rather, she conceived. Conceived. And I think she got a dhamaka. God bless them. She got twins, a boy and a girl, who are now,
oh my God,
maybe they turned 4 years. There are close to, I would say, 90 to 100 such children who have come thanks to the master's approval to my readings. And in fact, one of the latest one was a 43-year-old lady who had, I think, moved everywhere in the world. She got a reading done not in 28, just about 1 year back, and she delivered a child 3 months back. So this is something which gives me a lot. So this is how cards can affect you. So this is how the oaths, the vows, the agony based. So what we also do is that when the oaths and vows may not be thousands, maybe 1 or 10 or whatever, right? So even we catch that all those experiences of agony, which these 4 years, like for example, after the marriage, she would have had to listen to so many people's the agony which she went to go through after her children's death. That agony also we collect in those cards, so that all that grief can also be cleared from her awareness and from her being, and even from her mind, body, and soul. So that is the kind of depth in which we go and clear it.
beautiful, Deepak. In fact, it sounds, the way you have explained it, it sounds like if it affects and heals one area of your life, it also probably impacts positively the other areas of your life. So, Deepak, questions have started coming in. And Deepak, I wanted to understand something before we take on the audience's questions. That what kind of areas of life are there gods in? Like right now, we explained about conceiving, and there have been many success stories. And on the group, we have had questions about cutting cords in office, ex-girlfriend, boyfriend. So I'll bring them up. But
Yeah.
can you tell us overall that in what areas of life do these cords reflect and affect us?
Yeah. Well, it's basically there are something like, if I may talk about, it also clears up a lot of these health issues. Because that person may have taken an oath, and maybe that person has done something in his past life. So I'll share one incident here, or rather one of the cases here, where this person was predominantly a very healthy person, just 34-year-old person, man. And suddenly, out of the blue, 6 months back, so he came to me just 6 months before that, his kidneys just started giving him trouble. And there was no indication otherwise. And the worst case scenario was that in those 6 months, his stomach also turned ulta, something, that's what the doctors were saying, which means the stomach twisted inside. Doctors were not able to give any reason why. So because of that twisted stomach, he also had to only take liquid diet, which was further affecting his kidneys. So this poor thing came to me, and when I did his reading, so I found that he was in one of the dynasties And that dynasty, in fact, I asked him whether he lived on that road somewhere on Mahabalipuram road. He said, well, he was like, he for a moment got shocked. How did you know? No, you know? So something like that. He went to Chennai, and on Mahabalipuram road, he had this guest house where he was staying for his office, and he had his meeting there. So he came back with this, and the moment I saw that he had a past life, uh, maybe he was not cremated. Also, he was mutilated. His body was mutilated there because he was an informer for that empire. So something. So he was mutilated, and that mutilated body kind of how it rubbed off. I don't know. In the sense, I cannot logically explain it to you, but energy wise it got attached and we had this problem. We did the reading. His kidneys are on the way of recovery. In fact, he's recovered quite a lot, and within 48 hours his stomach, which was twisted, became all right, and he could eat solid food also. So of course I did not expect this, but within 24 hours I got a call saying that he's got some uneasiness. So I said that I know there is nothing wrong. This was 3 years back. You take him to the doctor. The doctor said that I don't know how this miracle happened, but the stomach has turned okay.
Amazing.
So, likewise, there is one more case of which is of one of my. Again, this is about 4 years, 2 years back. Sorry, 2.5 years back. This gentleman came to me. He was working on a ship, and he had a fear of water. All those, but his passion was to be on the ship. So when he came to me, the problem was for about 2 years that time, he had his below the waist, is that area was kind of, how do I say that? Sun pad gaya tha. So something like it went a bit numb. Yeah. So it went a bit numb, and he used to have bouts of pain and other things in that area once in a time. So that continued for about 1 year, 1.5 years. So he was working, but kind of in a lot of pain. He was just going for the sake because he had to work. Otherwise, he would be back. So he came to me with a lot of pain. So when I did his reading, I asked him about a particular port, not exactly particularly named, but I said that, did you go to Portugal, some port in Portugal? So again, like this gentleman, again, he was very shocked and surprised that yes, I had been to there, and then his wife, in fact, told him, yes, after that only you came back and told that you have got this problem. So he was, poor thing, was not able to recollect. As I know, and I salute all the ladies because they have better awareness about everything happening in the home. So I salute to all the homemakers who are there on the call, and my heartfelt thanks to everybody, of course. So that is where we came to know that there what I saw is that he was killed, and killed. He was, something was tied to his waist, and his below his waist, I think he was thrashed also very badly. This was done by some looters. So they were looting his ship. He was the owner of a ship. So that body was lying in that ocean, and it maybe it got whatever XYZ energy is rubbed off onto this person, and he was carrying that. And surprise, surprise! Immediately after the process, after the cord cutting process, and I have a small process of grounding also at the end, which I do for all customers. Immediately after the grounding, and it's been 2 years, as I said, no problem. All that numbness gone. He's perfectly fine. In fact, I was just chatting with him last week. He said, "Sir, thanks. Everything is fine." So this is how I'm aware that things do happen, and I really thank these people that they had faith in this process. And I'm again thankful to Mavtar Babaji for him to have blessed me with this modality, because I'll give you a small idea about the origin of how this whole I did this marriage of two modalities. So when I did Akashic Records, I'm not at all talking about anybody's plus or minuses here. I was talking about my expectations, or like my thing was that when I know something, so I'm a solution-oriented healer as far as what Mahathir Babaji had told me also. So he keeps, rather I keep getting that message in my intuition always. So I said that, okay, I'm aware of this situation. What do I do with that? If I heal it, if I'm able to heal it, then it makes sense. Otherwise, it's something like I'm watching a newspaper, likewise, aware, okay, thank you very much. Because of this, I've got this. So I do some forgiveness. I forgive, I forgive, I forgive. Maybe some people have mantras, some have forgiveness. So that way, if I'm forgiving and not with my heart, maybe that, as they say, it may take 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. There is no, I don't know, maybe now there may be maybe something, but I'm talking about during my time, 7, 8 years back. So that was my point where I tried to get into this. So I used to do some cord cutting initially, and I used to use Lord Melchizedek, rather call upon Lord Melchizedek, even do entity clearing and all those things with this particular same modality. So Mahavatar Babaji, when I was one of these, like 2-3 months, I was thinking how to go about. So he just came and smiled. And my guide told me, you already have it. What are you searching for here, there, everywhere? So then it was like, logically, we basically, we want some logical conclusion. So want a confirmation. So I was still into that frame that time. So, oh, yes. Okay, I can do this. It took me just 2 hours for making the whole process, marriage of 2 processes. And so the cord cutting was added, the angel healing was added, and it became Akasa Abhilekhyam, as it is known.
Absolutely. And Deepak, I am going to come back and ask you more about Akasa Abhilekhyam and also request a little bit of an introduction. Deepak, a lot of questions are waiting to be answered about chords.
Yeah.
And I want to tell everybody that we will take on as many questions as possible. And Deepak has so many stories. We will try to cover as many as possible today. And we are going to also understand this better with the help of demos. All right, so stay tuned. We will take 1 or 2 of you and understand chords and their applications better. And everybody, a little later on the call, we all are going to read our own Akashic Records and then probably see how much is a particular aspect of chords impacting us. And Deepak is actually going to cut our chords and give us healing for that. I have gone through this. Please stay tuned. It is a very powerful, life changing experience. So, Deepak, there are a couple of themes which I can see on the group, and people have asked their question about. So, one is relationship, and the other is career. Okay, so Deepak, Madhu has asked, and even Rashim has asked. I'll just combine a couple of
Yeah.
questions related to couples and relationships, so we can get a wider perspective. So Rashim has asked that I'm unable to cut the cord with my husband even when he doesn't want me back. And I don't know what kind of cord this is, but I would like to disconnect with him. And it's as if a corollary to that question, Madhu has asked that how important is it to do cord cutting with our ex partners?
Well, sorry. So there were 2 names, Madhu and one more lady. I'm sorry, I could not catch
Rashim.
Raj. So it so happens that as you're not able to cut certain cords, which predominantly means that there is some connection or some karma which needs to be cleared. And once we know maybe the origin of that, and that is where you'll come to know that what is it that's requires to be learned as a lesson. So as you know, like these karmic gurus come to us. So all the karmic gurus may not be very amiable, very amicable. Some of them may be harsh also. So that depends. But at the same time, learning lessons is what is our prerogative. So if that lesson is not learning, so either it is a toxic one, so it's your choice to remove it, or just go forward. But then if you're still attached, which is what I'm collecting from this, so I'm sure there is something in the origin or something, some oath or some vow which you have taken, maybe whatever protecting, or could be anything. Maybe there is a karma which has to be settled. and which is why he is not going away from you or whatever is happening. So maybe with this question, I can answer only that much. Now, as far as detaching from own people, I heard that, right? So own people means what happens is there are two types of relationships which we have even with our family members. One is our attachment. Any attachment will give you some chords always. So the attachments, whatever you may call it, is love or whatever, it is always negative because it affects you, it pulls you in that particular direction. Where if you see a doctor also is unable to operate on his own relative or child because of that attachment which he has. So that is the attachment which makes us immune to. So it's something like we are so attached to ourselves. As they say, the doctor cannot treat himself because he is unable to really, accept that, yes, this is the case. Maybe he needs to hear it from someone else. So likewise, basically, we have to detach ourselves from our near dear ones so that we can find out what is the problem that they are actually facing. And all because of the attachment, we cannot see the solution. The solution stares up us in the eye and we question that solution. What are you, where are you coming from? All that kind of stuff keeps happening. So it's because of our attachment of logic and maybe whatever we have gone through in our life. Maybe sometimes skepticism is also an attachment which is there. Sometimes fears and phobias put us into different corners. So the more objectivity will come when you start detaching yourself from the situation. And once you detach, you look at it from a fresh perspective and you will get all the answers. Which is why you go to a consultant for your business which is failing. He will tell you that you're overspending here because you don't know in your day-to-day running around that, I'm spending here more. Although you should be knowing, but you still go to a consultant. So the consultant gives you a third-party perspective. So you have the third-party perspective within yourself. I'm saying just detach yourself and look at it from that point of view. You will be saved all the counselor and consultant expenses.
Absolutely, Deepak. This is so important. In fact, I took three more questions and I would like to read them. I think what you said, it covers this whole gamut of relationships because we kind of have this one point focus. We come with a lot of expectations because those relationships are very old, they are family, they are blood. So thank you for this perspective, Deepak. Veena had asked, can cord cutting help in abusive relationship between husband and wife which are affecting kids? Sandeep had asked that same wife and daughter are troubling me and they are blackmailing me. Can I cut the cord with them? And there was another question that if there is so much abuse and negativity with the partner and mother-in-law, can it be solved? Payal had asked this. So Deepak, it's the same for any kind of relationship issue, isn't it?
Yes, yes. So I'll give you one, in fact, two classic examples in which what this lady mentioned is a toxic relationship. And in that, basically what happens is that once you come across a toxic relationship, there is definitely some karma which is pending, and this karma will come in different forms. Now, I'll give you a classic example of this person. There was this husband-wife pair for about 4 lifetimes. Last 4 lifetimes, one lifetime the husband was so, the gender will not be important here because you can take any gender form from as you want. So the husband, currently who is the husband, was, so basically in one lifetime the husband used to do the toxic elements. So he used to give her a lot of pain. In the second lifetime, she would give him a lot of pain. So it was like a give and take of relationship, which was not getting cut. Now it is very easy. Or why is it happening? Why is that happening? Why is that not happening? Now, before that fourth relationship, it so happened that this lady had taken an oath that she will not marry this guy somehow or the other. And this person, through various means, like maybe, not the right means, maybe black magic or whatever, married her. But then she as a soul, started taking revenge back from him. And then in the next life, so it became like a vicious cycle that in one lifetime you are abusing me, second lifetime I'm abusing you. So that way it continued. So when I went to that, the first one, so maybe the fifth one, or rather it was the sixth one, where I went and checked that. So I came to know that this person had done this. And because of that, this thing is going on for the last 4 lifetimes. They are not doing anything. I would say they are not learning each other lesson, just completing their life like this. So I gave them this. I cut their cord with that particular lifetime, as well as all these toxic elements in the 4 lifetimes. So 5 lifetimes I cleared from them. And in the last 1.5 years, they have just invited me, in fact, for their 25th wedding anniversary. Basically, I would be maybe they're even telling me next week you come to Bangalore, you want you to be there for this thing. So it's something like maybe I would not say there will not be fights in a marriage, but that at least the toxic elements have just gone away and they are living happily, which maybe it was said that 48 hours they will divorce or maybe they'll kill themselves. Either he'll kill her or she'll kill him, whichever way. So now they are 1.5 years, they are happily married. So it's just a matter of, again, I'm saying, maybe we are not able to see these elements because, of course, we don't have the vision to see the past life. So that could be available with the Akashic Records. And this Akashic Records is pure records, pure information. You can ask anything from the records and you will get all the answers. There's not a single answer which they don't give. Another major factor is that you can ask any question in 10 different ways, you will get all the answers. It's not that once you ask a question, you cannot ask again. You can ask the question in 10 different ways and you'll get all your answers. Ultimately, the objective is to clear the issue, not to clear the person. So the issues are cleared, the cords are cut, and see, I'll just give you an example of how cords work, right? Has anybody seen Milkha Singh? I'm sure a lot of people have seen Milkha Singh, right? So when he runs with the tire attached to his waist, so how will he feel running? So he's training, but in lifetime, if you are carrying that many cords, so let's say 10,000 cords you are carrying, and the weight may not be 500 kgs, but emotional weight may be more than 1,000 kgs. So how will you feel if this is a fear or a toxic element? So how will you feel? You will feel as if, or let's say you are in a room which is filled with smoke. How will you feel? Will you feel comfortable? No. So these are all the cords which make life difficult for you, and you're not able to explain why it is happening with you every time. And it becomes a pattern. So all these 3 people, what they mentioned, 100% solution, even if it is coming from husband to wife, wife to husband, mother-in-law, daughter-in-law, everything is solvable. Everything is solvable in at least the 3 things which have been pointed out.
Absolutely.
One example which I mentioned is a classic example there.
Yeah. In fact, Deepak, there are so many questions. Everybody, we will try to take on as many as possible. If not, Deepak is going to come back on the group after the call is over, and rest assured your answers you're going to get. Deepak, Rashim has confirmed. So you're right. I had an Akashic reading done earlier. It it confirms what you said. You know, it said I have given a vow to him in some lifetime to take care of his family. Now I'm the one taking care of the kids for years now while he is detached. Also, I feel more connected to him than anybody else in my family, even for kids. And
So yeah. So right now it is you're attaching to him, which means it is a not maybe a win-lose situation, if I may use that word. So here you can detach yourself from this oath, and you can still do the things which you're doing with no burden of that oath, and hence your life would be a bit more easier, not a bit more easier, much more easier, because now you're doing willingly and as per your understanding. So the load of that cord is missing from you now, which is what we
really fantastic, Deepak. Even if we finish this call and go back and look at our relationships with this perspective, it it will just change so many things, Deepak. And
Yes.
you do have a lot of things that you can do with us to help us free from whatever trouble we are facing, Deepak. Thank you for this. Deepak, Shah has mentioned that I got connected like almost. She's saying with the stories you mentioned about conceiving.
Yeah.
So she said, I connected to this, and does Deepak ji has have a solution for me? I have been having difficulty conceiving since 20 years. So I
Oh,
want to tell Shah that Shah, stay on this call. Deepak has some really fantastic options for you. Choose from and work on this. Deepak, we will move on to another aspect of life with respect to chords. And everybody, we will take on a couple of you along with Deepak to understand how cutting chords and healing and Akashic Records can actually help you with your situation. It is going to be a quick demonstration. Deepak, Sunshine has asked that how to cut cord in office from some project and get into another project. And Sandeep and Dr. Nidhi have also asked about their career, that any insight on career issues.
yeah,
I'm
sure.
facing issues in my career. I don't get recognition. I am stuck. So Deepak, even there was another question that they are not getting a job and there is career stagnation. What does a chords and Akashic Records have in store for us about this?
Yeah. So, okay. So, as far as career is concerned, let me give you my own example to start with, because I used to have a major issue. And what I mentioned in the initial state was my own story, where I was having issues with my boss. So, in fact, I identified this in my fourth company, where my colleague, who was my very good friend, as he became my boss, my energy towards him changed. And I started getting on a loggerheads with him. So what I had seen in that is that I was not very good at taking orders. That was coming from two of my lifetimes predominantly. Although others were affected, but the root was from two lifetimes. In one, I was an emperor, and I was a very bad emperor. And the second, I was a slave. See the contrast.
Hmm.
The slave, in being a slave, I have actually killed one of my bosses because of that emperor's attitude which I was carrying inside me. So I was so still I was living with that. I was not learning that lesson. So it continued for many years. And ultimately, when I detached my chords, and the best part was what, masters are superb. In fact, they sent a boss to me after my reading where it was a lady boss. So all the more, things, initially we had a lot of debates and heated debates, but after 2 3 months when I did my reading, I saw a change. And she, as ladies are more, as I said, more perceptive, she started asking me, there is a definite change in the last 1 month between the way you were speaking to me earlier and now. What has changed inside you? So that was the time I also told her about this Akashic reading, which I did, and I was able to clear this particular portion. So this is where the problem we always think is in someone else. Maybe someone else may be the problem. But as I said, there are karmic gurus. Even I had karmic gurus who were very abusive to me. I did not learn the lessons, and I kept learning it from different masters. So ultimately, so let's say if you are in a different project, you want to go to another project. Why do you want to run away from that project? Is the question you need to ask yourself.
Hmm.
Maybe there is something in that which is making you uncomfortable. So I would turn the table and show you that yes, maybe that is the problem. So likewise, one lady came to me about some time back saying that my child doesn't listen to me while, particularly while studying. So when I got information from the masters, so I asked him whether he listens to anything else. So then she remembered, no, yeah, if I tell her not to play, he will go and play. If I tell him to have bath, he will not have bath. So he is not open to taking any this thing, but she remembers more the learning because that is what her concern was. So that is how we found out where it was coming from, and we detached his chords with that particular, and we start, that reading is just about 1 month back. So I'm yet to get a proper feedback, but some energies of that boy immediately changed afterwards. So likewise in projects, like for example, if in an office you have certain issues with a particular problem with a particular person, so is it that someone is playing politics against you? You have a situation where, like, I'll give you an example of a boy who was a IIT gold medalist. IIT gold medalist is a very big thing. As far as I am concerned, I don't know. So that's what I felt. So when he came to me for a reading, he was working as an assistant manager for 7 years. And I asked him, IIT, gold medalist, assistant manager. So no judgment, but I was saying, why? You could do much more. Then I saw his past life. He wanted to be in engineering because in the past life he was an engineer. There was a bridge project which he was building. Now that project was perfectly fine, but the material used by the contractor, ultimately some middlemen did some sort of a hodgepodge in that particular thing, and this bridge fell down. And when this bridge fell down, the whole thing was pinned onto this guy, and he was imprisoned. There were some people who died also. So this guy started taking the blame for everything. So that blame became so bad that he carried that thought or carried that fear of listening to bad words. Like, I don't want someone to shout at me. I don't want someone to allegate me against me. So he had that fear with him. We did this reading, and in fact, I was speaking to him last week. He told me, I've just written down his company's name. He's now in Skansk company somewhere in Sweden as a GM. so, he not initially he went to Kolkata, but just about 3-4 months back, he went to Skansk, I think some company in Sweden as in the engineering department. Now he's working there as a general manager for them. So that is how his life changed. This was just 3 years back, and from assistant manager to a GM, so within 2.5 years, he's just up there. So it's just his own. So he was working in a small company where his boss was very, very happy. I'm sure with that kind of salary, he would be very, 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 very happy. And he didn't used to tell him much. So he was very happy overall. Now he's doing better. He started taking risks also. So that is where these oaths and vows, these cords pull you back.
Absolutely.
So if you look at each solution, each particular issue, we'll find out where the solutions are from. In fact, I don't know whether you would want to tell them about the next coming maybe process in some time, where they can try to find out, what is blocking them, and maybe.
Absolutely, Deepak. Absolutely. And Deepak, thank you. You're actually connecting the dots for us. Each of your explanation is leading to somewhere. And, Deepak, the questions are pouring in. We are going to have a very busy, exciting couple of days. It's like uh, everything we need to look into it for our how what karma are we attracting, what is happening to us and the other people involved. So it is individual to individual, case by case. What Deepak is trying here is he's giving us a very nice overview about what exactly is possible and the different permutations and combinations that are possible and how he can help us with this. Deepak, let's get on to a couple of demonstrations. Before
Yeah,
that, I would like to ask a couple of more questions. And, we are getting some fantastic questions. I should not have prepared for all those questions, Deepak, because the audience is doing that for us.
fantastic.
So, Deepak, Parul and Usha have asked, and that if a person is jealous of you and sends negative vibes towards you, do we simply cut our cords every day to that person and not be affected by it? So, Deepak, can we tell them what we are going to do tomorrow and that if this is possible?
Yeah, tomorrow, in fact, we will be I'll be sharing a very simple process of detaching with these cords. And these are coming predominantly from here in this lifetime. And if it has its origin anywhere else, then maybe, the Akasa Abhilekhyam will be able to guide you better. This is what I would like to say. Now, there are a lot of people who come with a lot of issues, like if I put my photo on my display, my status, I start getting sick. So that's an evil eye sometimes. Many a times, a lot of people come to me like that. So many people are like this also. And in some cases, jealousy may be like, if, for example, in my case also, it started with that. The jealousy led to someone doing something bad against me. And ultimately, I had to come out of it. So any case where jealousy is involved, someone has tried to damage you in any way, definitely there is some past life thing which is affecting your relationship. It Because if you may remember in this lifetime, you will think, oh, what have I done to this guy for him to react like this, him or her to react like this, which means definitely you're not done in this lifetime. It is coming from a past life for sure. It's something like it's something like, has anybody, I was remembering yesterday that rubber, round colored rubber, we used to play throwing to each other while going
Frisbee.
for picnics. Yeah, I don't,
Uh-huh.
frisbee,
Frisbee.
rubber ka aata tha pehle in India, there used to be rubber wala, plus boomerang, if you know.
Uh-huh.
So boomerang is something which you throw and it comes back to you, right? So karma is that boomerang which you throw and it comes back to you. Maybe you are in a different body, so you don't know what is hitting you. That is the only difference where this karma and this cords can start attaching to you. You will not know what the hell it means. So it's always better to get an awareness and clear it rather than living in the dark, living with all these difficulties.
Totally, Deepak, and we are so glad we have you to help us with this in terms of a consultation or actually learning ourselves to do this. Deepak, Shivani has asked a very interesting question, and everybody listen to this question. This will be applicable to all of us, be it relationship, career. There are some health questions also. I'm going to bring them up. So, Deepak, Shivani has asked that when we don't understand our lesson in one instance, any area of our life, and we go on again and again through that experience, aren't we creating a karma with the other people that are involved in that situation? And how do we take care of this?
Yeah, that's where I said that if you're not learning lessons, maybe you're trying
Hmm.
to dodge the lesson. Or maybe if you're putting let's say, the dust under the carpet will start getting higher in height. So the karma will definitely accumulate and it
Yeah.
will start getting better. Oh, sorry, start getting worse maybe at
Mm-hmm.
times. So it's very simple. So I have got many cases like this. There are people who don't learn their lessons for 7 years. They'll run away from cops. They'll run away from situations. So I had a situation about 5 years back, very simple situation. I solved it in 10 days. If I would have run away from the situation, it may have taken years. I'll give you a classic example here, very classic example. How your hot-headedness or your, that cord can make things worse for you. There was a lady has come to me, and she basically had, so basically, one of her friends was close to the lady's husband also. So close in the sense they were good friends. So somehow this lady had some suspicion, and she just wanted to see. And one fine day, someone like Kabri or someone informer gave, "Arey, this guy." No. So she rushed to that place, rang the doorbell, and she was so much anger. The husband was not there. This was the wrong information. But she started assaulting that lady. And when she assaulted that lady got so pissed off that she called the cops and she lost an FIR, which became a case. Last 7 years, she is fighting the case. Because of that, she is not able to go abroad. So that was a simple anger moment because of these attachments of these cords, which further escalated as this. I'm sorry, the name I forgot. I could not gather. But what you said is right. We kind of we create more karma, and who suffers from it? We suffer it. So be the happy and be cool, calm, as they say, the cool dude. Just
Absolutely.
find solution.
That you are, Deepak, and thank you for by the way, giving us this very important insight about anger and control. Deepak, let's quickly address about health, and we'll definitely take on some people for demos. Everybody, we would like to show this with help of examples. So if any of you is interested in coming on and share your situation with Deepak, do let us know on the group. No raising your hand on Zoom. And also remember that we are streaming live on YouTube, and this is going to be shared as replay on our group and our page. So only if you're comfortable sharing your details and with whatever Deepak has to share, only then we would like you to come on, and please no raising your hand on Zoom. Okay. So Deepak, Prashri has asked that why do healthy people get cancer? And Sunita had asked, Sunita, thank you. Sunita had asked, can allergies of food and pollen be cleared from childhood? And what about rheumatoid arthritis? Asks Rita.
So 2, 3 things have been mentioned here: pollen and allergies. Yes, in fact, I had one particular case in question, which was also related to if you are not able to reduce weight, and something like if you finish food, let's say you have just half 1 kg of sugar or 1 kg of rice, you start panicking. Oh my God, I need to get. So what there these elder, so I'm not trying to generalize this. Of course, each case has to be looked separately. But generally speaking, if it is supposed to be where you are putting on a lot of weight, although you do everything that you want to, but you're not able to reduce weight, that is one. Second, if you have these food allergies, so predominantly, I have seen many cases where people who are involved in drought, famine, they are used to hoarding food not only in their homes, also in their bodies. So because it should not get over. So that is the fear of getting food getting finished. And they will even shout at the person, even if he wastes a bit of food.
Mm-hmm.
Wasting food is not good, but they become hyper and they start shouting and all that kind of stuff. So that goes to another level altogether. So generally speaking, yes, the food allergies and this particular putting on weight, not able to, even though you follow all dietitians advice, you do work out, even then you're not able to reduce your weight. So it comes from there. From drought or famine, generally speaking, of course, each case has to be looked differently. Now, one person particularly came to me where they had a lot of allergies. So they were very of worms and all these things, they had these allergies. So arachnophobia, so even spider allergy. So all those kind of things were there because they were locked up in a dungeon. And these kind of insects had kind of made their life very tough there. So they were carrying all those allergies. These people also will have OCD. They will keep
Mm-hmm.
everything clear as far as possible. Even a small dirt, they will get hyper and things like that. So generally speaking, I'm not trying to create this, but generally speaking, what has been mentioned, these are the things which generally are affecting to create these kind